circus on down the road. We're taking bets about a tank and gas will go. Call up your best friend.
It's hard to believe it's been 5 years. I feel like Nickelback has just constantly cycled and toured and been through here every couple of years. So the last couple of years, tell me how that's informed the songs that fans are going to hear on Get Rollin.
I wish we could have given them music sooner, but like, we were just a little scattered, you know? And I think that kind of came from not having a deadline. You know, like at no point in time was anybody behind us with a cattle prod or, you know, a bullwhip giving us how many farm references?
I don't know. Lots of farm
And it was nice. It was really nice to not have that. The whole pressure of, okay, get it done, get it done, get it done. And to be able to just, you know, work on a song for a couple weeks and then take a week or two off and go back in and just, you know, work on stuff. And like at one point in time, we rented a house up in Whistler, and we went up there with we literally gave ourselves marching orders.
I can't believe it's been 26 years for you guys. I mean, I kind of feel like Nickelback's always been there. Like I said, every couple of years he comes through town, but 26 years is a long time. What was the mantra? What was the ingredient that kept you guys going and kept you guys popular for so many years?
Well, we started the band when I was 8, he was 9.
Yeah, whatever. I'm in my mid-30s now. Jeez, I'm already mid-30s. Surprise.
Mid-30s.
Surprise.
I don't know if there was like, if you rubbed, you know, the magic lamp and a genie popped out and he said, so what do you want to do for the rest of your life? And you're like, I want to be able to make music and tour the world for the rest of my life. And that came to fruition. Would you ever want to stop doing that once you've already been given that gift, or would you try to make that last as long as you possibly could? Because I can tell you what I'm trying to do, and I'm dragging these guys along with me, and thankfully they're all still interested in doing the same thing.
And then you're going to be honored next March by the Juno Awards. What does that accolade mean to you guys in your career at this stage of your career to get that next year?
It's huge.
That's a pretty big milestone for sure. When we started off in Canada, when we started making our little demos and making our little independent records and what have you, I guess I shouldn't belittle them by saying little, but we didn't really get the Canadian love, and we got signed in America and had to prove ourselves in America before we started getting radio stations like the holdouts that were just not going to add us because they just didn't believe in us. They didn't add us until we got added in America, you know. So there was a lot of this sort of like go prove yourself sort of thing. So now that we're being honored like that now in Canada, it feels like we have gone off and we have proven ourselves. It's like, okay, we're really good, we promise. And so that feels wonderful to be recognized like that, you know, with all the hard work that we've done around the world. You know, I guess when you get to come back home and you know, they're going to throw the medal around your neck kind of thing, it feels really good, actually.
Chad, I saw a video with you recently. I didn't realize that Nickelback released Silver Side Up on 9/11 and that you played on 9/11. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Was that the hardest concert you guys have ever had to play?
One of, I'd say for sure. Yeah, it was you know, as much as you'd like to walk up there with a magic wand and just go, you know, none of what just happened today transpired. You know, none of us had that ability. So I simply had to address the crowd by saying, you know, in one of the most tragic moments in American history, please let us be your finest form of distraction this evening, and let's just not think about what happened, and let's just really, really try and have a good time. And I could just feel, and the place was packed, which I also thought was strange. And no one knew how to behave, and no one knew what they should be feeling, and sort of like, should we be having a good
I
time?
didn't even know why we were still playing, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah,
I canceled every other show.
I couldn't.
So it was strange to be put in that position.
Yeah.
And
we were opening for another
awful.
band at that point in time.
Yeah.
It was just like, they're like, nope, show's going through. And not only like that, I think it was weird that the band that we were opening for went through with it, but everybody showed up. I mean, it was packed. And so after I said what I said, because no one went before us, I just had to walk out. I was the first one, so I had to walk out there and address the crowd. Like, we didn't even start playing. I just walked out there and I addressed the crowd, and then we began to play. But there was this sort of, it's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, actually, maybe we should just okay, let's not think about what has just happened for, an hour and a half or 2 hours, whatever it's going to be here, and just try to enjoy ourselves.
Well,
but still, it was very, very, it was very different.
To clarify that though too, like, exactly, is because this was like, I mean, as everyone else was like 8 in the morning when we got woken up. We were on the East Coast when obviously it happened, and so it had been a whole day of being inundated with this stuff, and we were, because we were on the bus, the TV, and all this kind of stuff. But I don't know. This is pre-social media. I don't know what everybody had been doing that day, or if they've been that's all we heard all day long. So a distraction was okay at that point, I think, but it was a strange position to be in. There's no doubt.
Bizarre to say the least.
Yeah. You have so many hit songs. For me, I remember being obsessed with Photograph, but Photograph was like 10 years into your career. What was the moment for you both? And I'm sure you both have different, memories of this, where you kind of looked to one another and said, I think we made it. I think we achieved our dreams.
I think after How You Remind Me came out and we were touring the world on the success of that song, we kind of looked at each other and we all went, we made it, dude. Like, we made it. And then it was like, we didn't really sit around talking about how great it was. It was more like, how do we keep this going? Like let's not let this ride end. Like, let's keep this thing moving as long as we possibly can. Because we've all seen that too. Like, we've all seen bands, come out with one song, and as we all refer to them as the one-hit wonders kind of thing. And I desperately didn't want to be that, and I was hoping that we could, try and keep writing songs that we enjoyed, and that our newfound fans all over the world would enjoy as well.
When you guys were starting out, you're playing the small clubs. Obviously, eventually you jumped into big arenas and amphitheaters. But when you're in those small clubs at the beginning of your career, what do you, Chad, Ryan, like, what are you guys saying to one another to keep people interested, to keep people, get them cheering and not talking over your music? Is there something you guys are looking to each other and saying, we got to do this tonight to hook the fans, to hook the crowd?
Anything applicable. It was more just like, because a lot of times you just played a bar staff, and then sometimes, like, I remember being in Winnipeg where they would just throw the glasses on the dance floor and they just let them. Remember that?
Yeah.
The dance floor was just full of broken glass. Was that the Royal Albert, or what the hell, or the Prince Albert,
no,
Royal Albert,
there was
whatever.
A zoo there.
Something Albert, or whatever.
It was Royal Albert, yeah.
The one that had one bathroom
The Royal Albert.
per floor.
Yeah.
And we played there, and like, there was so many of those things that at the time it's like, let's just get through this because this is horrific. But looking back on it, it's one of those things, like, it's sort of like basic training, where if you hadn't done it, if we hadn't gone through that, it wouldn't have given us the backbone, I guess, we have now, among other things. But there's like,
yeah,
but you can tell those bands that didn't have to go through those things.
Yeah, we don't get rattled as easy, I think.
No.
And it's so much of what you're talking about is like that we're dealing with coming up in the bars. is unspoken because we're all feeling it. Like if we're on stage and we're like, we haven't quite got them yet. Like we know. You just dig in. I don't know how else to.
The day after St. Patrick's Day kind of thing.
Yeah. It's
where
tough.
everyone's
It's
hungover.
a slog, for
Gotta
sure.
reach out there and just like,
Yeah.
They're not going to hand it to you. You've got to reach out there and get them, get a hold of them, and then hold on to them for the rest of the show and make sure they leave there going, okay, I was not intending on having a good time, but like at the end of the show, you've got them all singing every word. And that's our job, right? Is to get everybody literally just singing along, and, you know, and we want to just make sure that everybody has a good time. Human jukebox.
Did you guys have a plan B in case it didn't work out?
His modeling career.
Yes. No. No. Long answer. No.
The thing is, I think if somebody points a gun at your head and you're standing at the top of a building and they say, you're going to walk across that wire and you're going to get to the other side. And if you try to turn around and come back, I'm going to shoot you. And if you fall, that's on you. But if you make it to the other side, you're going to live. And
that's how we started the band.
And that's your only option. Your only option is truly just to make it to the other side. If you're like, well, if this doesn't work out, I can always just go back to college, or I can just go do whatever. Or my dad's got a business and I can go work for him or what have you, if it's any of those things. But if you don't have that net there and someone, you know, and that those are your marching orders, you're going to make it to the other side of the building, you know, to the next building, or you're going to fall. And so we couldn't turn around.
I didn't want to fall. I'm not sure where that analogy is coming from.
But we owed like so many family members, like my grandmother. We owed her $5,000. Your mom, like we owed, like we owed so much money. It was like, we have to make it over to that other building, because otherwise these people that we truly, you know, love and adore are never going to get their money back. So there was definitely that where it's just like, okay, we got to do something here, you guys. We got to win or die trying.